In the basement of his father's house, Alex found an old tin box. Inside were childhood drawings. His drawings. Each one depicted a family, him, his mom, and his dad. But his dad had no face. Just a black spot. Alex didn't remember drawing that. He asked his father. His father looked at the drawings, paused, and said, "You always knew, son. You just forgot. Want to remember?" Alex grew up in a house where cleanliness was the rule. His father washed the floors every Saturday, and the rag smelled of bleach, a scent that lingered on the walls, furniture, and clothes. His mother left when Alex was 5. She simply packed a suitcase and disappeared. His father said she was dirty. "We don't like dirty people." Alex nodded. He didn't understand, but he was used to not asking questions. At 7, he helped his father in the basement for the first time. Not the one with the pickle jars, but the other one, behind the iron door. It smelled not of bleach, but of something sweet, like old flowers. His father told him to stand by the door and look. Alex looked. He saw dark stains on the floor, which his father had scrubbed off. "What is that?" Alex asked. "Dirt," his father replied without turning around. "We clean up dirt, son. That's our job." Alex helped. At first, he just stood guard. Then he started carrying buckets of water. Then he started hauling sacks into the woods in an old truck. His father said the sacks contained construction debris. Alex believed him. Until he was 8. At 8, he saw a hand. The sack was poorly tied, and fingers stuck out from the gap. White, with dirty nails. Alex froze. His father came over, straightened the sack, and tightened the knot. "Don't look," he said. "Dirt shouldn't look like a person. Otherwise, you'll stop cleaning it." Alex didn't sleep for 3 nights. He stared at the ceiling and saw fingers. Then sleep vanished. In its place, he was swallowed by emptiness. He stopped feeling fear. He stopped feeling anything at all. At 12, he already knew how to bury sacks so the dogs couldn't dig them up. His father praised him. He patted his head. Alex smiled back. He didn't know if it was real. He didn't know if he was real. At school, he was considered weird. He didn't fight, didn't make friends, didn't laugh. The teachers said he was withdrawn. No one knew that at night. He carried heavy bags in the trunk of his car and buried them in the woods. At 15, he tried to tell a classmate sitting at his desk about this. She asked why there was always black under his fingernails. Alex opened his mouth, but the words wouldn't come out. He suddenly realized he didn't know how to describe what he and his father did. He had no words. Only emptiness. He fell silent. He turned away. She didn't approach him again. At 18, he left home. He rented a room in a dorm and got a job as a night loader in a warehouse. He wanted to forget. But every night he dreamed of the basement, the sweet smell, and his father's words, "You're my son. You're just like him." He couldn't sleep. He started drinking. Then he quit. Then he started again. At 20, he met Lisa. She worked at the cafe where he went for coffee. She smiled at him. Just like that. Alex couldn't remember anyone smiling at him like that. She asked him why he was sad. He didn't answer. But the next day he came again. And then every day. She talked about books, about traveling, about how people should be kinder. Alex listened and felt the emptiness inside him fill with something new. She invited him to the park. They sat on a bench, watching the ducks. Lisa took his hand. His hand was shaking. "What are you afraid of?" she asked. "Yourself," Alex replied. She didn't understand, but she didn't let go. A month later, his father called. Alex hadn't answered for 2 years. "Come over, son," his father said. "I need help. I can't live without you." "I'm not your assistant anymore," Alex replied. "You'll always be mine. Blood is thicker than water." Blood? Alex laughed. You're right. Blood. Someone else's. He hung up and burst into tears. Lisa hugged him. She didn't understand, but she sensed something terrible had happened. The next day, Alex went to his father's, to the old house that smelled of bleach. He took the recorder in the box he found in the basement, a box of drawings where my father's face was missing. His father met him at the door. He had aged, but his eyes were the same, empty, cold. He smiled and hugged him. He smelled of bleach and something sweet, like old flowers. I knew you'd come back, his father said. The blood calls. I came to pick up my things, Alex replied, and to ask a question. They sat in the kitchen. His father poured tea. The tea was bitter, like their whole life. On the table stood the same tin box of drawings. Alex opened it and took out the top sheet. It depicted a family, him, his mother, and his father. But his father's face was missing. Only a black spot. Why did I draw this? Alex asked. Because you saw it, his father replied. Children see what adults hide. You saw my face as it was, without the mask. And now you have a mask. Now I wear a face, like everyone else. But you know what's underneath. The father finished his tea and set the mug down. He looked at his son. There was no remorse in his eyes, only calm confidence. Why did you call me? Alex asked. To help. For the last time. I'm getting old. I need hands. No. You're just like me. You dug holes. You carried bags. You didn't yell at the police. So, you're with me? Alex looked at his hands. They weren't shaking. He felt empty inside. But that emptiness spoke louder than any words. He realized his father was right. He hadn't yelled. He hadn't called the police. He hadn't stopped. He had just left. Ran. Hid. I'm not like that, Alex said, but his voice sounded uncertain. Prove it. His father pushed the garage keys toward him. There's a bag in there. Take it. Just like before. Alex took the keys. They were cold. He went outside and climbed into his father's old van. The garage smelled of bleach. The bag lay on the floor, tied in a knot. Heavy. Too heavy. He loaded the bag into the van and drove into the woods. The road was familiar, down to every hole. He stopped at the same spot where he'd been digging holes for years. He picked up a shovel and began digging. The ground was soft. The rains had eroded the soil. Alex dug and felt a sick feeling welling up inside him. Not from the smell. From himself. From being here again. Doing this again. He stopped. He dropped the shovel. He opened the van and untied the sack. Inside was a man's coat, old shoes, and a doll. A rag doll with its head torn off. Not a person. Just trash. Alex exhaled. He sat down on the ground and began to cry. He cried from relief, from anger, from the fact that his father had tested him. Made him go all this way to make sure he was still a good boy. He returned to the house. He tossed the keys on the table. Was that a test? He asked. Yes, his father replied. You passed. You came to the forest. You dug the hole. You opened the sack. That means you're mine. I'm not yours, Alex said. I just wanted to know the truth. Now I know. You're sick. And I was sick while I was with you. He took the recorder out of his pocket and placed it on the table. The red light began to blink. The entire conversation was being recorded. What is this? The father asked. Evidence. Your words. My words. Everything you've done all these years. Will you turn me in? Yes. The father stood up. His expression didn't change. He walked over to his son and placed his hand on his shoulder. You think they'll believe you? You're an accomplice. You helped. You're just like me. No, Alex replied. I'm a victim. You're a victim. And I want this to stop. He left the house and got into the car. 2 hours later, he was at the police station. Alex sat at the police station and told them everything. About the basement, the bags, the forest, his father, who taught him how to dig holes. The investigator listened without interrupting. From time to time, he asked questions. Alex answered. His voice didn't waver. There was an emptiness inside, but now it seemed less frightening and more cathartic. Do you have evidence? The investigator asked. Alex nodded. He placed the recorder, the flash drive with photos, and the list of places where they buried the bags on the table. He remembered everything. Years of training had not been in vain. Enough, the investigator said. The next morning, his father was arrested. Alex watched as they led him out of the house. His father didn't resist. He looked at his son and smiled. You're free, he said. But the black shroud will stay with you forever. Alex didn't answer. He turned away and left. The trial lasted 3 months. His father was sentenced to life in prison. Alex received probation and mandatory psychiatric treatment. He didn't argue. He himself requested treatment. He was placed in a clinic for 6 months. There, he relearned how to speak, breathe, and not flinch at every sound. The doctors said he had post-traumatic stress disorder, that he wasn't sick, that he was simply broken, and that he could be fixed. Alex believed it. For the first time in years, he wanted to live. Lisa came to see him every week. She didn't ask about his past. She simply sat next to him, held his hand, and read books aloud. Alex listened and felt the emptiness inside him fill with warmth. A year later, he left the clinic. He moved to another city and found work at an animal shelter. The dogs didn't judge him. The cats weren't afraid. He cleaned cages, walked dogs, and nursed sick kittens. The animals felt his pain and repaid him with love. His father sent letters from prison. Alex didn't read them. He threw the envelopes in the trash without opening them. One day, Lisa said, "Let's get married." Alex froze. Then he smiled. For the first time, truly. "I don't know if I'll be a good husband," he replied. "And I don't know if I'll be a good wife," Lisa said. "But we can try." Together. They married a year later. Quietly, without guests. Just the two of them, in a small registry office, under an old oak tree in the yard. Alex still sometimes lies awake at night. He dreams of pits and sacks. But now he wakes up not with a scream, but with a quiet sigh. Lisa sleeps next to him. The cat purrs at his feet. Dawn breaks outside. The darkness inside hasn't gone away. It lurks. But Alex knows how to live with it. He knows he can be better. Not perfect. Not a saint. Just better. And that's enough. His father is in prison. He doesn't write anymore. Alex doesn't know if he's alive. And he doesn't want to know. He looks out the window at the rising sun and feels like today will be a good day.